Canada, the world's second largest country, is situated in North America just above the United States and uniquely bordered by the Atlantic, Arctic, and Pacific Oceans, boasting the world's longest border with the US, spanning approximately 8,891 kilometers. A striking aspect of Canada's geography is that a staggering 80% of its population resides within a mere 100 miles of the US border, with half of all Canadians living to the south of this line. Another striking aspect is the fact that the province of Ontario contributes significantly to Canada's GDP, with 38% attributed to the city's economic activity. We know that economic concentrations often influence where people choose to reside, and that's why Canada's primary industries, including real estate, mining, and manufacturing, predominantly locate themselves in these provinces that contribute much to the country's economic sustenance. In recent years, though, these very same provinces have gone under the ringer. Canada has witnessed a doubling of house prices, reaching $760,600 on average, fueled by consumer spending and encouraged by government stimulus programs and low interest rates. This housing boom has prompted many Canadians over time to accumulate debt in pursuit of homeownership, driven by the anticipation of rising prices. And although rising interest rates temporarily dampen housing costs at a time, many Canadian renters still find home ownership an unattainable dream, as revealed by an Ipsos poll indicating 63% of non-homeowners have given up on the prospect. At the same time, immigration continues to play a substantial role in boosting rental demand in Canada, as newcomers initially opt for renting, thereby sustaining the rental market. Canada's housing market, as a result of this ever-increasing demand, stands out internationally, with its consumers dedicating a substantial portion of investment capital to housing, forgetting the need for business investment. As a result of this, business investment in Canada, which encompasses non-residential structures, machinery, equipment, and intellectual property, accounts for a mere 9.3% of the country's GDP. While strong growth in housing investment has increased Canada's net residential assets by 18.9%, making the housing sector constitute 22% of the nation's wealth. From this fact, it's seen that a significant portion of the Canadian population tends to prioritise housing over business investments, and despite the economic push that this preference has brought about to the housing market, it's also raised concerns about job creation in the absence of local investment. In any country, state, or even community, business investment has been and will always be a cornerstone of economic expansion, increasing the overall productive capacity of the economy and enabling the production of more goods and services with the same level of labour and resources. However, with Canada's neglect of its business sector, we see that its rate and level of business investment as a share of GDP falls behind that of the US. And that leaves an obvious gap to be filled by investments from another source, which is why Canada today relies heavily on foreign direct investment to sustain its business sector. Also, the nature of Canadians when it comes to taking business risks, as indicated by a survey of 900 executives, has proved to have big implications for the country's economic landscape. For instance, the Canadian economy's close association with the US has shaped its policies and practices to the point where American companies often establish business operations in Canada to evade tariffs or taxes, leaving headquarters and intellectual property south of the border. Also, many promising startups in Canada are often acquired by foreign companies, particularly those from the US, usually due to tax benefits that get lost when small Canadian firms go public. This trend is a negative stain on Canada's business sector that has led to Canada's economy being less innovative and productive than its American counterpart, and we can see these facts in certain instances. For example, Canadians earn an average income of around $43,867, whereas Americans earn approximately $56,690. Now, this income disparity becomes evident with just a few hours travel south, where you'll find that while Americans work longer hours, with the average American worker producing $74 of value per hour, their Canadian counterparts generate only $57 per hour. The reason for this discrepancy is easily attributed to the varying levels of capital investment, tools, innovation, and machinery per worker between the two nations. It's a factor also known as capital intensity, a factor which upon analysis shows that while Canadian business invest around $13,000 per worker, their American counterparts allocate $20,500 per worker. In terms of research and development, Canada also lags significantly behind its G7 counterparts. There is a particularly striking disparity in patent production between Canada and the United States, where the US generates almost twice the number of patents per capita compared to Canada. And this too can be attributed to the lack of adequate investments in the area of research and development in the country compared to other nations surrounding it. Now, in 2022, Canada's per capita income, when adjusted for purchasing power parity, stood at $57,800, which was nearly lower than that of the United States by almost $8,000. However, this income disparity didn't pose significant issues at the time and still hasn't posed any issues so far, because apparently Canadians in the lower half of the income scale do fare better than their American counterparts due to lower levels of income inequality in the country. Now, to put this into context, income disparities in any country are assessed using a measure called the Gini coefficient, which ranges from 0, indicating perfect equality, to 1, indicating perfect inequality. And over the past 42 years, Canada's Gini coefficient has never exceeded that of the United States, while on the other hand, income inequality in the US has consistently been higher than that in Canada and has increased at a faster rate over the same time period, leading to the last data showcase from the World Bank revealing Canada's Gini coefficient being lower than that of the US. Also, despite the fact that there was even a sharp increase in income inequality in Canada in the 1990s, all still remained relatively stable over the last decade, with a decline observed right after 2010. Now, despite this said decline and Canada's stability in income disparity rates, Canada's economy still faces challenges in terms of competitiveness compared to other developed nations. According to the IMD World Competitive Ranking, for example, Canada ranks 15th out of 64 countries, marking its poorest performance in the survey's history since 1997. The country also lags behind aggressive free market economies like Singapore, which is ranked 4th, and the US, which is ranked 9th, as well as progressive nations such as Denmark, the Netherlands, Norway, and Sweden, which are known for their strong labour protections and high wages. We know that competitiveness, often viewed as a catalyst for innovation, efficiency, and economic growth, used to be a strong suit for Canada a decade or so ago, despite fierce competition from larger and better funded rivals. However, the same is not the case today, and there's an obligation on Canada's part to take necessary steps to revive its competitiveness on a productive, innovative, and economic scale. Some of these steps will definitely include Canada fostering innovation and creativity, and leveraging its pool of skilled and talented individuals from around the world. The IMD report already highlights Canada's 13th position globally in talent. However, there'll also be a challenge as many of these talented individuals are migrating south of the border in pursuit of higher pay, leading to a phenomenon known as brain drain becoming a problem for Canada to fix. Historically, research shows that Canada has often lacked government initiatives to promote research and entrepreneurship compared to some other nations. Additionally, the country's heavy reliance on natural resources has discouraged investments in diverse sectors such as manufacturing, research, and business activities. Canada's economy currently centres around mining, lumber, oil, and natural gas, and in 2021, natural resources contributed to 17% of nominal GDP, constituting 51% of the value of Canada's total merchandise exports. However, two major exports, oil and vehicles, are declining. Production of vehicles dropped from 3 million in 1999 to 1.4 million in 2020. The services sector, which encompasses financial services, real estate, communications, on the other hand, has shown growth. Toronto in particular has emerged as a financial hub in North America, housing a concentration of financial services company headquarters. And Canada's banking system has maintained its position as the top performer in the G7 for 11 consecutive years, reflecting its stability amid global financial crises. What these stand to show is that despite the country's imminent economic challenges, Canada remains one of the world's strongest economies, boasting a stable democratic government, a courteous and confident populace, a favourable business environment, and a reputation as one of the least corrupt countries. This is why we know it's set in stone that once the right steps are taken, the country's economy can bounce back on its feet to become a big-time player once again in the global economic playfield. Compared to other advanced economies, Canada's economic growth has exhibited a consistent sluggishness over an extended period, which is why, despite various efforts to bolster economic activities, the country has struggled to achieve the robust expansion it's targeted for many years. That's the problem to be addressed first. Also, it's noteworthy that the Organisation for Economic Cooperation and Development has already projected a challenging road ahead for Canada on its journey toward economic recovery. Their projections indicate that substantial improvement in Canada's economic performance appears unlikely in the near future, with factors such as ongoing global economic uncertainties, shifting trade dynamics, and the evolving technological landscape presenting formidable challenges for Canada's economic prospects. To the OECD, these complexities will make it increasingly difficult for the country to achieve the level of growth necessary to compete effectively on the international stage. Moreover, internal factors including limited investments in innovation, research and development will hinder Canada's ability to adapt swiftly to changing market demands. And the country's reliance on traditional sectors such as natural resources will also pose challenges as global demands and prices fluctuate. This is why Canada must also take steps to address the brain drain phenomenon, where talented individuals seek opportunities abroad because it continues to impact the country's ability to retain its skilled workforce. In light of these challenges, we see that, truly, policymakers and industry leaders are faced with the urgent task of implementing comprehensive strategies aimed at fostering innovation, diversifying the economy, and enhancing productivity in Canada. Alright then, that's all for today's video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Also, share this video and press that post notification bell so you don't miss out on our future videos. We analyse the latest trending economic news, so watch out, and until next time, take care. It's time